If you're in your 40s and you want to retire a millionaire in your 50s, this video is for you. But here's the brutal truth that no one wants to tell you. The mistake that 87% of people make with their money in their 40s is they're still playing the same financial games they played in their 20s. What are these games? Number 1, maxing out a 401k and praying the markets keep going up forever. Number 2, throwing money at random stocks they hear about on CNBC or see trending on Reddit. And number 3, hoping inflation will magically disappear. But here's the problem with this approach. According to the latest 2025 data from Vanguard, the average 401k return was only 8% last year. And when you factor in the fees, which most people don't even know they're paying, you're looking at returns closer to 6.5%. That's not going to cut it if you're starting in your 40s. Buying random stocks? Well, here's a reality check. In 2024, only 19% of stocks in the S&P 500 actually outperformed the index itself. That means 81% of individual stock picks underperformed. So unless you're getting incredibly lucky, you're probably buying high and selling low. And inflation? It's not going anywhere. The Federal Reserve just made it clear that their target is 2% annually. That means your money loses purchasing power every single year. So if the traditional advice isn't working, what does work? In this video, I'm going to show you 3 money moves that people in their 40s can start making right now to dramatically improve their odds of retiring a millionaire before they hit 60. These are not get-rich-quick schemes. These are proven strategies that wealthy people have been using for decades. Move number 1 is grow your money faster than the average person. Move number 2 is keep more of your money by legally paying less in taxes. And move number 3 is increase your income by leveraging the knowledge you've already built over the past 2 decades. But here's what's critical. You have to understand all 3 of these moves because they work together. It's not enough to just get slightly better returns. It's not enough to just save on taxes. You need the compound effect of all 3 working in harmony. So make sure you stick with me until the end, because by the time we're done, you're going to have a complete roadmap for building serious wealth in the next 10 to 15 years, even if you're starting later than you planned. Let's dive into move number 1. Move number 1 is grow your money faster. And I know what you're thinking. Of course I want to grow my money faster, but how? Here's the thing. Your 401k might not be a terrible place to put your money, but it shouldn't be the only place you put your money. Let me show you the math that your financial advisor probably hasn't shown you. According to Fidelity's latest Q4 2024 analysis, the average 401k balance saw an 11% increase last year. Sounds great, right? But here's what they don't tell you. If you're investing $1,000 a month into your 401k from age 40 to 65, and you get that average 8% return, you're going to end up with about $950,000. But there's one massive problem with this calculation: fees. The average 401k fee is still sitting at around 0.52%, according to the latest 2025 Brightscope report. Now, maybe that doesn't sound like a lot, but remember, that's 0.52% on every dollar you invest, every year it's invested, plus every dollar of profit you earn. Every year, that profit sits in your account. So after you factor in these fees, you're not going to have $950,000. You're going to have closer to $820,000. That's a $130,000 difference just because of fees. But what if you took a different approach? What if instead of just dumping everything into your 401k, you diversified and put some of your money into the broader stock market? The S&P 500 has averaged 10% annually over the past several decades. And in 2024, it delivered a total return of 25%. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get 25% every year. That's not realistic. But if you could get that historical 10% average instead of 8% and avoid those high 401k fees, the numbers start to look very different. Same $1,000 a month, same 25 years. But now at 10% return with lower fees, you're looking at about $1.3 million instead of $820,000. That's nearly $500,000 more just by making this one change. But let's take it one step further. What if you got more active with your investing? Now, I'm not talking about trying to find the next Tesla or the next Amazon. I'm not talking about gambling on meme stocks. I'm talking about strategic investing based on research and market trends. The Magnificent Seven stocks, Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, Tesla, and Nvidia, drove 53% of the S&P 500 returns in 2024. These are not random picks. These are companies that are leading the AI revolution, the cloud computing revolution, and the digital transformation of our economy. If you had been strategic about your investing and captured some of this trend through diversified tech exposure, let's say through an ETF like QQQ, which focuses on the NASDAQ 100, you could have potentially seen returns closer to 13 to 15% annually. Let me show you what this looks like. Same $1,000 a month, but now you're getting 13% returns. After 25 years, you're not looking at $820,000 or $1.3 million. You're looking at over $2.1 million. But here's where I have to be completely transparent with you. I'm just a guy making YouTube videos. I'm not a financial advisor. Investing has risks. You will lose money at some point. Markets go up and markets go down. So you always need to do your own research and never blindly trust anyone on the internet, including me. But let me give you some specific examples of what I'm talking about. For basic market exposure, you can look at something like SPY. This ETF gives you exposure to the S&P 500, the 500 largest companies in America. It's passive on your end. If Apple starts making terrible phones and drops out of the top 500, the fund automatically removes Apple and replaces it with the next company in line. You don't have to do anything. If you want slightly more growth potential with more risk, you can look at QQQ. This gives you exposure to the NASDAQ 100, primarily tech companies. It's more volatile, but it has historically delivered higher returns. Over the past decade, QQQ has averaged around 15% annually. Now, what about active investing? This is where you're doing research to understand where money is flowing in the economy. You're looking for trends before they hit CNBC. You're studying industries, studying companies, studying market cycles. Is it guaranteed to work? Absolutely not. But the idea is that with better research and better timing, you might be able to get slightly better returns than just buying and holding index funds. The key word here is slightly. Like, we're not shooting for 50% returns. We're not trying to get rich overnight. We're looking for that extra 2 to 3% annually that, when compounded over decades, creates significant wealth. Now that you understand why you need to grow your money faster and some specific ways to do it, let's talk about move number 2. And this might be even more important than getting better returns. Move number 2 is keep more of your money by legally paying fewer taxes. And when I show you these strategies, you're going to understand why wealthy people seem to get wealthier while everyone else stays middle class. Now let's talk about move number 2, keep more of your money. And this might be even more important than getting better investment returns. Here's how most people's finances work. You go to work, you earn money, the government immediately takes their cut in taxes, then you spend what's left, and if there's anything remaining, that's when you save and invest. But what if I told you there's a way to legally flip this sequence? What if you could earn money, invest it, let it grow, and then pay taxes later, or in some cases, never pay taxes at all? Before I show you how this works, let me give you a reality check about taxes. Most people have no idea how many different types of taxes they're actually paying. You've got income tax on your salary, you've got payroll taxes, Social Security, and Medicare. That's another 7.65% right off the top. You've got sales tax every time you buy something, property tax on your house, capital gains tax when you sell investments, estate tax when you die, and depending on where you live, state and local taxes that can add another 10% or more. Add all of this up, and the average person is paying 35% to 45% of their income in various taxes. That means for every dollar you earn, you're only keeping 55 to 65 cents. But here's what wealthy people understand. Taxes are your single largest expense, and unlike most expenses, you have significant control over how much you pay. So let me show you how real estate can become a legal tax shield that allows you to build wealth while paying little to no taxes. Let's start with a simple example. You buy a $250,000 rental property. Not in California or New York, where everything costs $2 million. I'm talking about markets like the Midwest, where you can still find decent properties at reasonable prices. Of that $250,000 purchase price, let's say $200,000 is the building and $50,000 is the land value. This matters because, according to the IRS, buildings depreciate over time, but land doesn't. Now, let's assume you rent this property for $2,200 a month. After paying all your expenses, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, management fees, vacancy costs, and your mortgage payment, you're netting $10,000 a year in cash flow. Here's where it gets interesting. Most people would think, great, I made $10,000, so now I owe taxes on $10,000. But that's not how it works with real estate. The IRS says that because your building is getting older each year, you deserve a tax deduction for this depreciation, even if the property is actually appreciating in value. For residential rental property, you can depreciate the building over 27.5 years. So take that $200,000 building value, divide by 27.5 years, and you get about $7,300 in annual depreciation. Now you made $10,000 in cash flow, but you can tell the IRS you only made $2,700 in taxable income because of your $7,300 depreciation deduction. But wait, it gets better. This is called straight line depreciation, and it's just the basic version. If you want to get sophisticated, you can do something called a cost segregation study. What this does is identify parts of your property that can be depreciated faster than 27.5 years. Things like carpeting, light fixtures, HVAC systems, parking lots, and landscaping can often be depreciated over 5 and 7 or 15 years instead. With cost segregation and the current bonus depreciation rules, which are still at 40% for 2025, but dropping to 20% in 2026 and 0 in 2027, you might be able to take a $15,000 or even $20,000 depreciation deduction in your first year. So now you have $10,000 sitting in your bank account, but on paper, you show a $5,000 to $10,000 loss, which means you pay 0 taxes on that rental income. But here's where it gets really powerful. If you make under $100,000 a year at your day job, you can use up to $25,000 of real estate losses to offset your regular W-2 income. So let's say you make $80,000 at work, and your rental property shows a $10,000 paper loss because of depreciation. Now, instead of paying taxes on $80,000, you only pay taxes on $70,000. That could save you $2,000 to $3,000 in taxes annually, depending on your tax bracket. You have more cash flow from the rental, you're paying less in taxes on your day job, and you have more money to invest using the strategies from move number 1. But that's not even the best part. Let's say you hold this property for 5 to 10 years, and it doubles in value. Most people would sell it, pay capital gains tax on the $250,000 profit, and then try to figure out what to do with what's left after taxes. But with real estate, you can do something called a 1031 exchange. This allows you to sell your property and immediately reinvest all the proceeds into a bigger property without paying any taxes on the gain. You can do this over and over again throughout your entire investing career. Buy a property, let it appreciate, sell it, roll the proceeds into something bigger, get more cash flow, more depreciation benefits, and never pay taxes on the gains. This is the strategy that real estate billionaires use to build massive wealth. They're constantly upgrading their portfolios, deferring taxes indefinitely, and using leverage to multiply their returns. And when they die, their heirs often get what's called a stepped-up basis, which can potentially eliminate most or all of the deferred taxes. Now, if you make over $150,000 a year, the rental loss deduction gets phased out unless you qualify as a real estate professional or you convert your property to short-term rental use. This gets more complex, and you definitely want to work with a qualified CPA who understands these strategies, but the basic principle remains the same. Real estate allows you to generate cash flow, take significant tax deductions, build equity through appreciation, and defer or eliminate taxes on your gains. Compare this to putting money in your 401k, where you might save 22% or 24% in taxes today, but then pay ordinary income tax rates on everything when you retire, which could be 30% or 40% by then if tax rates increase. With real estate, you're getting cash flow now, tax benefits now, and the potential for tax-free wealth transfer later. This is why people say real estate is one of the best tax shelters available to ordinary investors. Not because you're doing anything shady or illegal, but because the tax code is specifically written to encourage real estate investment. The government wants people to provide housing and commercial real estate, so they've created these incentives to make it financially attractive. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds complicated. What if I don't want to be a landlord? What if I don't want to deal with tenants and repairs? There are solutions for that too. You can invest in real estate investment trusts, REITs. You can participate in syndicated real estate deals. You can buy into Delaware statutory trusts through 1031 exchanges. The point is, once you understand how the tax code works, there are multiple ways to take advantage of these benefits at whatever level of involvement you're comfortable with. But here's the critical thing to understand. These strategies work best when combined with moves 1 and 3. The tax savings give you more money to invest using better investment strategies. The cash flow from real estate can be reinvested for compound growth. And the knowledge you gain about real estate investing can become another income stream through consulting or teaching others. This brings us to move number 3, and this one might surprise you because it doesn't require any money to get started. Now let's talk about move number 3. Increase your income through leverage. And when most people hear the word leverage, they think debt. But that's not what I'm talking about here. If you're in your 40s, you've been working for about 2 decades now. And here's something most people don't realize. You have accumulated massive amounts of knowledge that other people would be willing to pay you for. How do I know this? Because if you've spent 15 years learning something, and you can teach somebody how to do that same thing in 6 months so they don't have to go through the same 15 years of pain, struggle, and mistakes, they will pay you handsomely for that knowledge. Let me give you a specific example. Let's say you work in manufacturing, and you've figured out how to reduce production waste by 15%. You know the systems, you know the processes, you know what works and what doesn't. There are thousands of manufacturing companies that would pay you $5,000, $10,000, or even $50,000 to implement that same system in their facilities. Or maybe you're in marketing and you've learned how to increase email open rates from 18% to 35%. That knowledge is worth serious money to companies struggling with their email campaigns. The point is, every single person watching this video has developed expertise that can be monetized. The question is, are you thinking about it strategically? Here's why this is so critical for people in their 40s, specifically. If your salary is growing by 3%, 4%, or even 5% a year, you're not really getting wealthier. You're just keeping up with inflation. According to the latest data, inflation averaged 3.4% in 2023 and 4.9% in 2021 and 2022. So if your income is not growing faster than inflation, you're actually getting poorer every year. But when you leverage your knowledge, you can create income streams that grow much faster than traditional salary increases. Now, I get it. This sounds like more work. And yes, initially it is more work. But here's the thing. If you can increase your income by even an extra $1,000 a month through consulting or knowledge-based services, and you invest that extra $1,000 using the strategies we talked about in moves 1 and 2, the compound effect is massive. Let's do the math. If you take that extra $1,000 a month and invest it at 12% returns for 15 years, you're looking at an additional $500,000 in wealth. That extra income stream alone could be the difference between retiring comfortably and retiring as a millionaire. But here's where it gets really interesting. The more specialized your knowledge, the more you can charge for it. And in today's economy, businesses are desperate for people who can solve specific problems. Companies are spending $400 billion annually on AI and technology upgrades. They need people who understand how to implement these systems. They need people who understand how to train employees on new processes. They need people who can bridge the gap between old ways of doing business and new ways of doing business. If you have experience in any industry that's going through digital transformation, which is basically every industry right now, you have valuable knowledge that companies will pay for. So how do you actually monetize this knowledge? First, start by identifying what you're genuinely good at. What do colleagues come to you for advice on? What problems do you solve at work that others struggle with? What processes have you improved or systems have you implemented? Second, look for businesses that have the same problems you've already solved. You can find these through LinkedIn, industry conferences, or even just by reaching out to companies in your network. Third, start small. Don't quit your day job and go full-time consulting immediately. Start with one small project, maybe a few hours on weekends. Prove that you can deliver results, then gradually scale up. The beautiful thing about knowledge-based income is that once you develop a system or process that works, you can often scale it without dramatically increasing your time investment. You can create templates, frameworks, and repeatable processes that allow you to serve more clients without working exponentially more hours. And here's the kicker. This type of income often pays significantly more per hour than your regular job. Like while you might make $30, $50, or even $100 an hour at your day job, specialized consulting can easily command $150, $200, or $300+ per hour. But remember, this isn't just about making more money. This is about creating a feedback loop. You make more money through knowledge leverage. You invest that money using the growth strategies from move 1 and the tax strategies from move 2. That money compounds and grows, which gives you more capital to invest in further growing your knowledge and your income generating capacity. This is how people in their 40s can accelerate their wealth building, even though they got a later start than they might have wanted. Now, let me tie all 3 of these moves together and show you how they work in combination to create serious wealth over the next 10 to 15 years. So let me tie all 3 of these moves together and show you exactly how they work in combination to help you retire as a millionaire in your 50s. Move number 1 was grow your money faster. Instead of settling for 401k returns of 6 to 8% after fees, you're getting 10-13% through strategic market investing and active research. Move number 2 was keep more of your money through legal tax strategies. Using real estate depreciation, 1031 exchanges, and other tax optimization techniques, you're potentially saving 20-30% or more on your annual tax bill. Move number 3 was increase your income by leveraging your existing knowledge. Through consulting and knowledge-based services, you're adding an extra $1,000 to $3,000 per month to your income. Now here's where the magic happens. These 3 moves don't just add together, they multiply each other. Let's look at 2 different scenarios. Person A follows the traditional advice. Person B implements all 3 moves. Person A invests $1,000 a month in their 401k, gets 7% returns after fees, pays full taxes every year. Person B uses move 3 to generate an extra $2,000 a month in income. That's $3,000 total to invest. They use move 1 to get 12% returns through strategic investing. They use move 2 to defer or eliminate taxes on a significant portion of their gains. After 15 years, they have over $1.2 million. That's nearly 4 times more wealth. Not because they got lucky, not because they had some secret insider information, but because they understood how these three strategies work together. But here's what's really powerful about this approach. The gap gets bigger over time. In year 20, person A might have $650,000. Person B could easily have $3 million or more. This is the compound effect in action. Small advantages, compounded over time, create massive differences in outcomes. And here's the best part. None of this requires you to be some kind of financial genius. You don't need to predict the next market crash. You don't need to find the next Amazon stock. You just need to understand the basic principles we've covered today and consistently apply them. Now, I know some of you are thinking, this sounds great in theory, but how do I actually implement this stuff? And that's a fair question. The real estate tax strategies we talked about, the depreciation, the 1031 exchanges, the cost segregation studies, these require some expertise. You need to work with qualified accountants, tax professionals, and real estate experts who understand these strategies. The investment strategies require research, market knowledge, and a system for evaluating opportunities. The income generation strategies require you to package your knowledge and find the right clients. If you want to learn more about how to actually implement these strategies, I put together a free wealth building masterclass that goes deeper into each of these three moves. I'll walk you through the specific steps to optimize your investment returns, show you the exact tax strategies that wealthy real estate investors use, and give you a framework for monetizing your professional knowledge. I'll also show you the biggest mistakes people make when they try to implement these strategies, mistakes that can cost you tens of thousands of dollars if you get them wrong. The masterclass is completely free, and when you register, you'll also get access to my weekly newsletter where I break down current market opportunities and share real case studies of people who have used these strategies to build serious wealth. You can register for the masterclass using the link in the description below. But here's the thing, and this is important. You don't have to wait until you have watched the masterclass to get started. You can begin implementing these strategies right now. Start by looking at your current 401k fees. Most people have no idea what they're paying. Log into your account, look for the expense ratios, and calculate how much those fees are costing you annually. Start researching basic market ETFs like SPY and QQQ. Understand what they invest in, what their historical returns have been, and how they might fit into your portfolio. Start thinking about your professional expertise. What knowledge do you have that other people or businesses would pay for? Who in your network might need help with problems you've already solved? The point is, you can begin optimizing your financial strategy today, even before you dive into the more advanced strategies. Remember, if you're in your 40s, you still have 10 to 20 years before traditional retirement age. That's plenty of time for these strategies to compound and create significant wealth. But the key is starting now and being consistent. Time is still on your side, but every month you delay is a month of compound growth you're missing out on. If you got value from this video, the best way to support this channel is to share it with someone who could benefit from this information, whether that's a colleague, a family member, or a friend who's also thinking about their financial future. And if this is the type of content you want to see more of, practical strategies for building wealth, real market analysis, and honest breakdowns of what actually works, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos.